intellectually articulate it to the rest of the world and see if they would make sense of it. Secondly, let us fulfill the vacuum that we've created, the intellectual vacuum. We need to be involved in every field of knowledge. We need to become the inventors, the creators, the innovators of knowledge of the world today. We need to become the leading scientists, leading this, leading that, because that is, after all, what Quran describes our religion to be. Iqra, read, was the first word revealed to Muhammad, peace be upon him. The beginning of revelation was on knowledge, not on ignorance. And finally, we need to become a united community of people where we understand and we together work to resolve our problems. Together, not divided, together. And finally, we need to get rid of the dictators and despots from the Muslim world as soon as possible. Muslim world, it's an obligation on them, it's wajib on them, that they should get rid of their dictators and despots as soon as. And find freedom, justice, shura, and all the other terminology that we use in the modern world to describe governance in that way. So that's what we need to do, brothers and sisters, as a way forward.
Next question.
Sorry, brother over there has a question. Please go ahead.
Yeah, how do you see the tailoring of Islam in each country of the what they call quote-unquote Muslim countries? How do you see that each authority that tailoring Islam to their need to keep grip on power with the description that you said about us being because I mean you look at the scientists, for example, if they are in the Muslim country, there is no mention of them. If they come to the West and to the US, and you will see that they flourish and they invent and they become, you know, productive part of the society. While they are in their country, they don't.
Yeah.
Do you see that the tailoring of Islam for these governments or these rulers have an effect on basically us being drawn back? Because also this looks like it becomes an infectious where even non-Muslims are trying to define Islam to Muslims. And that happens, you know, right after September 11, where Bush and Blair are trying to define Islam for us. When, I mean, the real people know what real Islam is. I
can't agree with you. Muslim countries are suffering from this grave problem. Many good Muslim professionals, scientists, scholars living in the non-Muslim world are doing phenomenal work. I mean, when I look at some of the great achievements of Western world today, I can't take Muslim contribution away from it. There has been individual Muslim scholars, scientists who've given their whole life to the discipline that they've become experts on. And that's congratulations to them. And we feel very proud by their achievement. But what you say is the underlying problem. The community as a whole, the Muslim community as a whole, cannot joy, cannot celebrate, cannot come together in recognizing the achievement of the Muslim scientists, doctors, just like we did before. That's primarily because of the current climate in which Muslims live. Lack of freedom, lack of democracy, lack of accountability, lack of legitimate leadership and all the rest of it. So I go back to the same point. We need to reinvent and re-democratize Muslim world in a major way. And please do not have indigestion by the word democracy. Democracy has different definitions in different parts of the world. What democracy is in France is not the same democracy in Britain. So it can have a localized definition. You are absolutely right and spot on that while there is an absence and a vacuum in the Muslim world of effective leadership, intellectual rigor, others are defining Islam for us and putting us into trouble. So our priority now lies in the Muslim world to reinvent and take that position as soon as possible. In the non-Muslim world, for example, for me, I am Muslim in Britain, this is my home. I'm not going anywhere, I can tell you that. Inshallah, pray for me. If I succeed in my ambition to enter parliament and I'm standing in the next election, I want to influence this country and its well-being in the future with the background that I come from, with my religion, with my culture, with my experience. We need more people involved in every facet of British society. We need to change the policies of our government when it comes to Middle East especially, because it has got a rotten one at the moment. It has a democratic view for itself, but a very different democratic view and prescription for others in many parts of the world. We can only change if we're inside, not from the outside. These are some of the smaller steps we can do. But bigger, and most important one is the three I said earlier on. re-energize and re-educate ourselves using the Quran, unite together as a community of people, because that's what we need to do, and make sure our countries and communities are free from the dictators and despots that we have. There's a question here: where do you stand on education in schools, religious education? Do you believe all children from all backgrounds could benefit from knowledge of awareness of all faith? Yes, definitely. I think in this country especially, religious education should not be subjective and should not be confined to, otherwise we create ghettos and communities in isolation. But there is also a benefit in creating schools that are based on their individual faiths, because what it does is it builds the confidence of those individual communities, as long as we also provide a collective space where they can come and interact. It's a complex sociological experiment that we'll need to go through over a period of time, and I can't answer that sufficiently in a matter of a minute response. I believe religion must play a very important role in education. Must play an important role. The religion-less education system has given rise to what we see today in our society. In inner city London, where I live, I would be horrified to give my children to any of the schools. My wife and I have decided our children are not going to any school at all. They are going to be home educated, inshallah. That's the task we've taken on, because education system has failed. I believe if religion is brought back to the curriculum and becomes the main ethos of education, it would do better and create more conscientious citizens in this country. In the Muslim world, the story is very different. I studied 7 years in Bangladesh in a school to become, in quote-unquote, an imam, a scholar of some nature. After 7 years, I came back to Britain and I carried on my studies here. So my basis on Sharia and the knowledge of Islam was well given and embedded in me when I was young. Our children miss that in this very society in which they live, or even in Muslim societies where they live, because they get two-pronged education. The least IQ'd, least intelligent one go to the madrasas, the Islamic universities or schools, and the most intelligent ones become the doctor, the engineer, the lawyer. Well, no surprise are we that we're getting the least of the intelligent bunches to become the scholars and the leading light to become and create an intellectual renaissance within our community. We need to change all that. But yes, you're right, education must play an important role. There is a hand right at the back. Gentlemen, you had a hand at the back. Did you want to ask a question?
Yeah, I was just about asking,
Okay.
what's the role of Al-Qaeda in the 21st century? Does it make or break the Islamic world?
Al-Qaeda?
Yeah.
Do you know where Al-Qaeda is?
I'm in Nigeria, I don't know.
Are you sure it's not in Nigeria?
I would love to.
Which part of Nigeria do you come from?
Lagos.
Lagos. Okay, well, I've not seen an Al-Qaeda in Lagos. I can tell you, I've been in Lagos. It's a very nice country, by the way, Nigeria. If you haven't been, it's the only country that I feel calls me back inside me, saying, "Come back." I've only been once. It was lovely. But to answer your question, you see, even the Americans and British who have been bombarding Tora Bora for the last, 5 years? Can't find Al-Qaeda or Osama bin Laden and his lieutenants. And then what happens every month, there is a video message from the same group. It's just quite a strange thing. They can't find them. How did these guys find YouTube? I mean, this is quite interesting. I would love to know. Leaving aside the funny side of Al-Qaeda, let's ask ourselves this question. What is the ultimate aim of this narrative? There is a group of people who believe that they can shortcut the reform and change in the world. They can make a quick change. They can change the world quickly. That narrative is wholly inappropriate and un-Islamic. There is no shortcut. Rasulullah took 23 years to change a small community of people in Mecca and Medina and surrounding Noah. 23 years. No society can be transformed overnight. So anyone who believes that there is a shortcut to change and reform, well, wake up and smell the coffee. There isn't. Gradually, slowly, change will happen. That's the first thing. Those who believe that they can change the world through violence, let them also wake up and learn they can't. Because violence is directly in contradiction to the teachings of Islam. For Allah's name is As-Salam, peace. For there is a gate in paradise called As-Salam. For our greeting is As-Salamu Alaikum. Our religion is named peace, Islam. How can it be, in any circumstances, be associated with violence? Those who propose violence as a way forward and a way to change the world, they are undoubtedly contradicting Islam and behaving very un-Islamic. And we should never accept